Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's tutorial is this Glitzy Clown. It's fun with an element of creepiness to it. To paint the ruffle around the neck, I used my Kryolan Aquacolor paints, and I'm starting off by using the white shade. So we're starting around the jawline, and I'm pulling that colour down the neck and stopping about 2/3 of the way down. You can either do this with a brush or you can take a sponge, which I find gives you better coverage. I applied a couple of layers of this to really build up that opacity. Next I'm taking the darkest of the two red shades from the Aquacolor palette and I'm going to roughly draw some lines onto the neck. They need to be wider apart at the bottom, then get closer to each other as they come up towards the top of the neck. Then using that red Aquacolor, we're going to paint every other line red. Then below those lines I'm going to draw a figure of 8 on its side, and this is going to be the ruffles. Now I'm adding some shading to each of the stripes, and this is going to make them look three-dimensional as if they're actually like real fabric in a concertina fold. The colours I'm using are from the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye palette. I'm using this matte black eyeshadow down the seam of each stripe, as we want this to be the darkest area because this is where the shadow would naturally form. And then fading from the black, we're using that grey brown shade to create a nice gradient from the shadow, so it looks like it's slightly rounded as opposed to looking flat. Before I use the black eyeshadow to create that shadowy gradient, I go in with the black paint to define that seam between each of the stripes. On a pencil brush, I'm adding a small amount of white eyeshadow to the centre of the red stripes, again to make it look more three-dimensional. I cannot tell you how difficult it is to really paint this on yourself. It is really difficult because you can't see the very side of your neck that well. You can't really manoeuvre your arms around to the side as well as you could as if you were working on somebody else. Obviously, I'm showing you that you can do it on yourself, just don't expect it to be the neatest version. I'm painting the centre of the figure of 8 shapes that I've drawn in white paint. I decided not to go all the way around the side of my neck because I knew I was going to have a wig on and it would be covered. On the centre of the ruffles, I'm just shading it to make it look as though the very centres are slightly darker due to the way the fabric's been folded. Now, creating the ruffle neck alone can take at least an hour, so really don't worry about it being too perfect. Just get the shading done and I guarantee that when you step back and take a look, it will look quite effective. And then the last part of the neck piece, I'm adding a small amount of brown eyeshadow underneath the ruffles just to look like a shadow. Moving on to the face, I'm blocking out my eyebrows using wax. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this because I have done this in many other tutorials and I am sorry that my camera is slightly out of focus. I'm simply combing my hair upwards and then flattening the hair in that direction so it lays completely flat against the skin. We then want to seal the wax in place. This one is by Kryolan. Your brow should look something like this craziness once you've finished applying the wax. Then using a spatula or a cotton bud, apply the sealant directly over the wax. Once that's dried, I'm going in with Supracolor foundation. It's by Kryolan, it's really good for camouflage and stage makeup, it's highly pigmented and it just covers brows brilliantly. So once I've applied my first layer, I'm then setting that in place with some translucent powder before reapplying another coat of that foundation directly over my brows and then resealing with powder. For my new eyebrows, I'm using this matte red eyeshadow by Sugar Peel and it's called Love Plus. And on an angled liner brush, I'm creating a small flick at the front and then I'm dragging the eyebrows up above my natural eyebrows and creating a really nice high curve. You want to make sure that the arch is kind of rounded, but really high and curved round, a little bit like drag eyebrows. And then I've drawn another line just above the one that we've already drawn and it's going to run parallel up to the arch. And then it's going to get thinner at the tail of the brow and then come to a point. Once you've coloured the brow in, we're then going to take this Lit Cosmetics glitter glue and this red glitter from Certifeye and we're going to glitz up our eyebrows. So we're applying the clear liquid to the shape of the eyebrow first. This is going to be the base for the glitter to stick to. Then I'm using a detailer brush, the same one I used to apply the glue, and I'm pressing the glitter onto the clear liquid that we've already applied. Now don't worry if you get any fall down, we can use some scotch tape just to gently pick that up off of the face. Or for safety, if you prefer, you can apply some shadow shields underneath the eyes to catch any of the glitter that falls down. To coat the very tail of the brow, turn your brush on its side and use the thinner edge. Using that brown eyeshadow from the Kat Von D palette, I'm creating a slightly curved triangular shape. This is going to be the new eyelid. Then going into the black eyeshadow, I'm creating a triangle in the middle of this shape. you want to extend the tip of the triangle past the top of the brown eyeshadow. Think of it as creating a pointy witch hat. Going back to our red sugar pill eyeshadow, I'm going to fill in the 2 spaces that we've got either side of the pointy witch hat. And you want to build this colour up a couple of times to build up the opacity, but don't worry too much because we are going to be going over this with glitter. Using a black liquid liner, this one is by Sigma, I'm filling in the pointy witch hat. You could always use black paint, but I do find that black paint tends to crumble after a little while. To create a nice point at the very tip of your triangle, lay your brush down at the very tip and pull the brush backwards. Now getting back to thinking of this as a witch hat, we're going to create the rim of the hat by lining across our top lash line. So keep the brush flat against the skin, very close to the lashes, and pull it all the way along to get the outer corner. Then again, turn your brush backwards, lay the tip at the very end of your flick and pull your brush backwards. Now over that red eyeshadow, we're going to do the same thing that we did to the eyebrows. We're applying that glitter glue first. We're then dipping our brush into that glitter by Certifeye and applying that over the Lit Cosmetics glitter glue. Take your time around the edges, and if necessary, use a smaller brush to apply the glitter. That way you'll get a clean finish. A little tip when doing this process on your eyelids is to keep your mirror quite low. That way your eyelid won't fold at the socket and you won't get a crease in your eyeliner or your glitter. And just keep looking down until you feel it's completely dry. It will initially feel quite heavy, but you'll get used to it. I'm then taking these lashes called Calypso by Certifeye, and I'm applying them to the top lashes after a quick coat of mascara. I've also applied a black kohl liner to the waterline, but I didn't realise that my camera wasn't recording. Underneath my lower lashes, I'm working in that red eyeshadow, but I'm really blending it out so it gives it that kind of pinky tone. And then using what's left on the bristles, I'm working that down the cheek in a triangular shape, and then using my finger to smudge it. I'm also using the tip of the bristles to apply a small amount of that around our glittery eyelid. If you're worried about disturbing your glitter, you can apply this before doing the glitter, it's completely up to you. I just decided after I'd done the eyelid to apply this shade there. I'm also curving it round at the front, flicking it upwards, mimicking the eyebrows, and then just softening that off with my finger. Over the reddy pink shade we've got underneath the lower lashes, I'm smoking that out with some of the black eyeshadow and just ever so slightly feathering that downwards. Going back to my liquid liner, I'm creating a nice point at the inner corner of the eye. Then we're going to mirror the top lid by creating a triangular shape coming down the cheek from the lower lash line. Once you've created your initial shape, use the liquid liner or black paint to fill in your triangle. Then take a step back and look in the mirror, and if you need to extend that triangle further, you can do so. I'm dabbing some of the glitter glue around this triangular shape, and then using a fluffy brush, I'm pressing on some of the red glitter. The reason we're using a fluffy brush is because it will apply less of it. For the overdrawn lips, we're applying some Too Faced Melted Matte in Lady Balls. You really want to exaggerate your mouth with this. So fill your natural lip shape in at first, and then you want to overdraw your top lip and also your bottom lip, and then we're going to extend it outwards. Think kind of Joker-esque. Using an angled liner brush, I'm extending the mouth to where the widest part of my smile lines are from my cheeks. And then we're going to build on from there. I'm making the top lip a lot bigger, but making sure I've still got a curve so the smile looks like it's going up and out. I'm applying the colour below my bottom lip and onto the upper half of my chin. And as you can see, it really does kind of resemble the Joker smile. And then you just want to perfect the edges, make sure everything's nice and neat. Using the same process that we used for the eyebrows and the eyelids, we're applying the glitter glue and then applying the red glitter over the top. So when you naturally smile with this, it just adds that creepiness to it. But I mean, feel free to adjust the lips to however you want them to look. Going back to the matte brown eyeshadow, I'm going to enhance the natural smile lines between the nose and the mouth. I feel this is quite important so that when your face is quite relaxed, you still look like you're smiling. And to enhance this further, I'm going to apply some underneath the mouth. So from the outer corner, which we've extended, down towards the outer corner of the chin. And then again, just use your finger to smudge that. I'm also applying some down the sides of the nose. It just creates a little bit more structure to the face and just makes it look more clownesque because it matches in with the smile lines. I'm also applying some of that colour on a larger brush through the hollows of the cheeks. Really work that in with circular motions and a light hand to get a nice gradient. Then just above that contour colour, we're applying that same reddy pink shade to the apples of the cheeks and pulling it backwards. On a small fluffy blending brush, and using some of that matte brown to create a bit more expression around the eyebrows. So I've applied a small amount at the centre and also a little bit around the arch of the eyebrows. I forgot to say that the foundation I'm wearing is just Illamasqua Skin Base in a couple of shades lighter than my natural skin. Lastly, off camera, I applied a small red circle with the aqua paint to the centre of my nose. Then I popped on my Powder Room D red mermaid wig and a little hat. Please give the tutorial a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I hope you all have a brilliant Halloween. If you missed any of my previous tutorials, you can click on these now, and please hit the subscribe button in the centre if you haven't already done so. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!